do, and you know what? There are no daft ideas. You've got to keep trying. I think, personally, the best ideas are the simple ones.
Guys, today I'm interviewing Mike, which is the managing director of Lyrico.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hello. Please, can you introduce yourself?
I will. Hi, my name is Mike Millward. I'm the managing director for Lyrico, the provider of office-based solutions. The company is based in France, and I run the UK and Irish operations.
Tell me about your career journey.
Yeah, sure. So, now, where did I start my career? I used to be a chef. That was my first job. So when I was young, I grew up in hotels, and my first job was to work as a chef, which was fabulous. And after I worked as a chef, I thought, I wonder what it's like to be in sales. So I moved from being a chef to being a salesperson, and I was selling home improvements when I first started selling things. And then my journey moved on from there onto more technical things like telecoms, and then from telecoms, I then moved into investment banking, and then from investment banking I then came into what they call business turnarounds, where you buy and sell companies and help them when they're in trouble. And I joined Lyrico, not because they were in trouble, it was quite the opposite. I met them trying to sell them a company which they didn't want to buy, but they asked me would I like to work with them because they thought it'd be fun. So 10 years ago I joined Lyrico in Australia, and I worked for them for nearly 5 years in Australia, and then I moved back to the UK.
So is Lyrico is the owner from Australia, or? No,
it's actually it's a French family, and they've been going for almost 100 years, 97 years we've been trading, and we have offices in 25 different countries, and we employ 12,000 people. And in the UK and Ireland, we have 1,400 staff.
Wow, that's a lot of staff and people who works in Lyrico. Yes.
But we have lots of fun.
Yeah. So when you were a chef, what kind of job did you what kind of stuff did you make?
Yeah, okay, so my family owned a hotel, and so I started with traditional English type foods, because it was a small family hotel. It was only 15 bedrooms, but we used to do, we had lots of function rooms, so we used to do lots of weddings. So I started on British fare is how I started, and I trained as a chef to do that when I was only young. And then I moved on to work with Italians, and I worked in Italy for a little while, in Rome, when I was only 19, and I worked in a trattoria, and Italian food is probably to this day my favourite food.
Did you enjoy being a chef, and did you learn by yourself or learn by a book?
Do you know, I loved being a chef, and I still love to cook now, because I think when you can cook, you can provide instant gratification for people. If you make something nice, like when your mum or your dad cooks you something nice and they see you smiling, it makes them happy, knowing that you're happy. So food is a really important thing for bringing people together and creating happiness. So that's why I liked being a chef. But also, I think when you work in hospitality and you are a chef, it's a very pressured environment, and that's kind of a good training ground for life, because you have to work under pressure. There's instant decisions that have to be made, and it's all to a high standard. So yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Who has been your biggest influence in life?
Wow, that is a difficult question. I think the biggest influence in my life is my wife. I think I'm very lucky. I've got a beautiful wife and a beautiful daughter, and my wife and I, we've been together for 32 years. We've been married for 26 years, and we've been together for 32 years, and I would say that she is probably the biggest influence in my life.
Wow, that's a lot of years.
That is a lot of years. Sometimes it feels like more than others.
Yeah. But are you in, like, when she's around, do you like having her around, and does she help, like, with your work a bit? Like,
You know what? It's funny you asked that. I love having her around, and yes, she does help me with my work because she's very clever, and she actually is the managing director of an advertising agency. So she's very, very creative. So she comes up with some wonderful ideas that help me with work, and we collaborate on lots of projects together. So it's quite good fun.
like, does she, if she's creative, she might, like, make up a new pen, like,
She makes up some great ideas of things to do in order to how to sell new pens and to get people interested, to make them, fun and interesting as an idea. That's one of the
Yeah.
things that she loves to do.
so does sometimes she, like, design the, like, packet of the pencils, or
Sometimes she does. She comes up with some great ideas.
who has been your biggest challenge, what has been your biggest challenge in life, and how did you overcome it?
Biggest challenge. I think the biggest challenge that, life hands out all sorts of challenges to you on a regular basis, and they all feel like the biggest one when you first have them under your nose and you have to deal with them. I think the biggest challenge would be when I decided for our family to move back to the UK, which was in 2020. I came over first because we were living in Australia. I came over first, and my wife and daughter, so that's Nick and Charlie, were supposed to follow over straight afterwards to be with me. And I got stuck because of the lockdown, because of the coronavirus. So I was stuck in England by myself for a year without my wife and daughter, which that was probably the biggest challenge, I would think.
It must have been sad, like, being lonely.
It was very lonely. I was lucky that I was busy working, helping things like the National Health and other businesses that needed urgent supplies, because we supply those types of things to industry. That did keep me busy, but it was awful not being near my wife and daughter. Imagine you've been away from your mum and dad for a year.
Yeah, that would be hard.
Yeah, tough. And that was why it was my biggest challenge.
It must have been hard moving because Australia is quite a hot country, and England is sometimes hot, but, like, not, like, as hot as Australia.
You're right. I mean, I lived in England. I was born in England, so I lived in England for 25 years, and then we went to Australia, and then I lived in Australia for 25 years, and then we came home. But it was hard to get used to when we came back, and I paused because I say home. I sometimes wonder where home is, because we still have a house in Australia and we still have a house here. And my daughter Charlie, who's only 14, sometimes she misses Australia dearly because she misses the beaches and the hot weather.
Yeah, but, like, you can always go there for holiday. And
That's
stuff.
right, and that's what we do. We try and go there once or twice a year so we can see our family and our friends.
Is that, like, your favourite holiday to, like,
My favourite holidays are always with my family, and we're lucky that we've got family in England, America and Australia, so that's where we spend our spare time, travelling into those countries.
I hear you have dogs in your office. This is exciting. Can you tell me more about this and how it helps you to work?
Of course I can. That's a great question. So we have 2 dogs, one official dog called Winston, and he's a cabochon, and with a cross with a poodle, which makes him not very big. He's only about this big, and he's black and white, and he's very funny. And we have him because he's a wellness dog, which means he's there to help people. And what you find, because there's some people who don't like dogs, by the way, not everybody likes dogs, and dogs are very clever because they can figure out who likes them and who doesn't. So that kind of sorts itself out a little bit. But in real terms, Winston is probably one of our best employees. He comes to work 3 days a week, and everybody loves him because they like to take him for a walk, and he makes them smile. And that's why we got him. We got him to make people happy, and he does. He's very, very popular.
He must be very friendly then.
He's incredibly friendly. If he was here now, he would be sat on your lap. Now we have another dog, which is it's actually Charlie's dog, my daughter, and she's called Popcorn, and that's because she looks like a popcorn. And she's a breed called a Cavoodle, and that's a King Charles Spaniel crossed with a poodle, and she's like a big teddy bear. I mean, she really is a big friendly thing, and she's only about this big. And again, if she was here now, she'd probably be sat there talking to you. She doesn't bark, but she'll talk to you a little bit. She'll and that usually means she wants a biscuit, and that's her favourite thing to do, is to ask for biscuits.
And is the other one like the business owns it, or do you own it?
No, we have somebody who looks after Winston, and that's somebody called Ian, and he's great. Ian has worked for the company for about 20 years, and he breeds Dachshunds in his spare time, and he's been a judge for a show called Crufts, which is a famous dog show in the UK, and he's been a judge at Crufts for 40 years, and his dad was a judge before him, so he loves dogs. So Winston lives with him, and he looks after him, and he brings him to work with him. So he's his carer, but he's the dog. Winston is part of our community. So I don't like to say the company owns him. He's a part of our community. He's a part of our company, but somebody has to take care of him, and that's Ian. Ian takes care of him. So
does Ian take him home with him? Or?
He does. He does. Okay. He takes him home, and he makes sure that he's looked after and he's fed properly. And Ian is the one who sent him to school, so he went to a special dog school to teach him to be a wellness dog, so he knows how to look after you. So the dog's very clever. He knows when you're happy and when you're sad, and he'll come over. If you're sad, he'll come over and he'll spend time with you to make you happy again.
So, whenever you're sick, he'll look after you, and
that's right. He'll come and be your friend.
Yeah. What do you think is the most useful stationery that you make and sell? Mine is an invisible pen that I can write with, and you can only see it if it's written by a shining special light on its secret code.
I mean, that's like a secret agent pen, isn't it? That's a fancy pen. We do lots of different types of things, not just stationery, that help all people in businesses to do all different things. My favourite thing, let me think, what's my favourite thing? I like the fancy phone chargers that we have, because, you can never have enough phone chargers. I'm forever losing them, and my phone's always running out because I'm always spend too much time talking on the phone. So I like the fancy phone chargers that we sell through our technology division.
Is it colourful, the phone chargers, or design? I
like the design of them. They are colourful, but I like the design of them because you can just put your phone on top of them. You don't have to plug things in.
Okay. So is it one that you don't have to plug in?
Yeah, like a pad.
Oh, okay. What advice would you give to your younger self?
Ooh, that's a good question. Somebody asked me this a little while ago, and I had to think about it. So I'm lucky that, this is the second time we've been asked it, so I've almost got an answer ready for you. The advice I would give my younger self, looking back in time, and I suppose the first question is how young? What age would you like me to be asking myself?
Well, maybe when you were 20 or 15.
Okay, all right.
In the middle of those.
All right, so I have a little thought about this. I think that young people are always wanting to progress, and I think that when you're 15, you think you're 18, and when you're 18, you think you're 21, and when you're 21, you think you're 25. And I think to give advice to your younger self is to take time slowly and to enjoy what you're doing. And life is about choices. It's about the people you hang out with and the choices that you make. That will change your future and everything that you do. So advice to my younger self would be to make sure that you hang around with people who are good influences and read lots of books and study hard.
I would also do that, but maybe I would also do maybe how to get profit money. If you got something wrong, if you could time travel, I would make some profit in money.
Well, that's good because it's always better to make money and not lose money.
Yeah.
But as long as you're making it for all the good reasons and you're helping people at the same time, because that's more important than making money.
Yeah. If you had all the money in the world, what would you do with it?
Well, that's an easy one. I'd give most of it away. As long as, selfishly, I'd make sure that my family and friends have got just a little bit more than they need, because if you've got a little bit more than you need, you'll always be okay. And then I'd give the rest away to people who haven't got any money.
Yeah. And also, if like you had all the money in the world, businesses would collapse, and you would not want businesses to collapse, so you would like probably save them, right?
Do our best to help them, especially when they're businesses that help other people.
Yeah, like charities and stuff.
Charities.
Yeah. Tell me the biggest setback in the last 10 years.
Oh, let me think. Biggest setback. I think, we're back to that coronavirus, aren't we? I mean, that really wreaked havoc with everything and everyone. It separated me from my family for a year. That creates lots of anxiety and stress. I think in business, it made things very difficult for people to do things. I think that was probably the biggest setback, was working through the period of the pandemic.
Yeah, and that affected most of the world.
It did, and it still is, I think.
Is it?
I think so. I think because even though the pandemic's come and gone, the after effects of it are still there. I think people are quite frightened of it happening again, and I think they're quite sensitive to what happened to them. And I think that the world has got lots more mental health issues, which are still to be dealt with, because they're getting used to what happened to them.
People say it's scientists did it, but do you think that is like true?
No, I don't think that the scientists did it. I think, it's just pandemics have come and gone over the years, and it's been happening for centuries. It's an unfortunate thing that happened. We just have to make sure that we work hard to prevent them for the future.
What are your values in life?
My values in life, I think you're put on this planet to help people. So my values in life are integrity and honesty and having purpose. So, my values are to help others. Yeah,
so like you said you were a chef, like you would make food for like homeless people and give it to them.
That's right, and I still do from time to time when the opportunity arises. I like to cook for homeless people or people they don't have to be homeless, just people who need to be fed, and it's lots of fun because you're helping out and you're giving something back.
Yeah. So you're doing something good in life.
That's right, and that always makes you feel better. So selfishly, you do it for yourself, because that's what selfish means. But equally, it's very nice that you're doing it for other people too.
Yeah, so like it makes you think you're like proud of yourself that you're doing that.
That's exactly right.
Does money drive you?
A little bit, but not as much as people and happiness.
Yeah.
Money's one of those things that it's nice to have and you need to do for certain things, but it's not everything. Friendship and people and happiness is more important.
Yeah, like you would rather be like poor and happy rather than rich and sad.
That's right, and I think there's a little saying about that the love of money is the root of all evil. I think if you're not careful, you can become incredibly selfish with money, and I think it's better to have. As long as you've got enough, then you'll be just fine.
Yeah, but again, some people like to have money because they like to help out like you.
That's right, if they've got money, it's nice when they give it away to charities and philanthropic propositions.
Yeah. What is your recipe of success or happiness?
Oh, I think happiness for me is driven by caring for other people, and I think if you care for other people and you're honest and you're friendly and you do your best to help them, then that brings happiness.
Yeah. So like if you're a builder and you have a friend that's homeless, you will like build them a house.
That's right. You do your best to put a roof over their head.
Yeah. What motivates you?
People. I like to see people. I like to be around people, and I like to help them to progress.
Yeah.
Not because I'm the best teacher in the world and I know all of the things that they need, but I think if you can talk to people and you can help people, then I think that's a really nice thing to be able to do.
Yeah, it's quite nice to help people. What are you scared of?
Oh, the dark. Don't like the dark. And I'm scared of solitary confinement. Do you know what that is?
Isn't it like tight spaces?
Solitary, when you're left by yourself. I don't want to be left by myself. I'd get very lonely, so I'm frightened of being lonely in the dark. I'd much rather be with people in the light.
Yeah, I think I would be lonely if I was. Yeah. If I was
nobody to talk to.
For a year you couldn't see your family, so that must have been really hard.
Yeah, see that wasn't very nice. I didn't like that. That made me lonely. I was lucky I got plenty of work to do and people I could talk to there.
Yeah, and the dogs must have cheered you up.
And you know, can I tell you? That's where I made the decision for us to get a dog in the office, because I thought, you know what, there must be other people who are lonely too, so we'll get us a dog, and that's when we went and found Winston.
Oh, so did you already have that other dog? Or?
I did, but it wasn't with me, Popcorn.
Yeah.
Popcorn was in Australia with Charlie, my daughter.
Oh yeah, I remember you said that. How did you develop yourself personally to become a partner?
Oh, another great question. So again, I think this is where life is about choices. So education is very, very important. Not the fact that you make it boring, because you don't have to have boring things to be in education, but I think you have to read lots, and I think you have to teach yourself things, and if there's an opportunity to do courses or go to school and universities, then you do those too. So I developed myself through all of those things, but also making sure I spent time with smart people who I I trust and I respect, and they taught me things, and all the things they taught me I now use to help other people.
Yeah, I think you like to help people a lot because you give them food and stuff, because you're talking a lot about that.
Yeah, nothing wrong with good food, but I think it's also about spending time with people too. If you can help them with their careers, and you can help them with anything that they need, really, even just spend time to talk to them, that helps them too.
Yeah. I want to become an entrepreneur in the future. What advice would you give me?
Being an entrepreneur is loads of fun. I've been an entrepreneur most of my life, so my advice to you would be always stay positive. And if you make mistakes, that's okay, because you learn more from the mistakes than you do the successes. But the number one secret with mistakes is to recognise them early, accept that it's a mistake, and then to change so you can do something differently so you don't make the same mistake twice.
Yeah, so you're basically saying don't do it and do it over again and do the same thing. Do something different and try to get it right.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So you wouldn't try and sell things to people, when all the shops are shut, would you? You'd only sell them when they're open. So that'd be a mistake, wouldn't it? Trying to sell things when there's nobody there.
Yeah.
So you have to sell them when they are there. And I suppose you don't use the shops nowadays, you use the internet, don't you? So it's about understanding how you can make things work better. And
I think you also have to think out of the box ideas.
You do, and you know what? There are no daft ideas. You've got to keep trying. I think personally the best ideas are the simple ones.
Yeah.
Because the simple ones are easy to remember. The complicated ones, you forget things and they can sometimes cause more trouble and cost you money. But you think about some of the simple ideas, you know, they're the ones that are successful.
Yeah, like if you do a complicated idea and like there might be a very big mistake and then you might have to pay a lot of money to fix it.
You're right, you're absolutely right. So keep things simple.
Yeah. Are you living your best life?
I think so, you know, because I've got a lovely family, I've got a lovely job, I have got things that give purpose, and I think that creates your best life.
So you're having everything you ever wanted?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Okay. What is your favourite book and why?
Oh, that's a great question, because I love to read. So I have to think about this for a minute, because there's so many books. I think my favourite book is probably one from my childhood, and that's one called Jungle Book. And have you read Jungle Book? Have you seen the movie?
Can you tell me about it? Because I might have read it.
Okay, well,
sure.
Jungle Book is about a little boy called Mowgli, who is living in the jungle, and he's brought up by some wolves, and he goes on life's journey to take him from growing up with the wolves to take him back to civilization. And there's a bear in it called Baloo, and Shere Khan, and Bagheera. Do you know the story?
I think I read no, not read the book. What's the movie?
That's right. So they've made a couple of movies about it. It's a wonderful movie, and there's lots of great songs in it too.
Yeah.
And it was written by a chap called Rudyard Kipling, and he was born in India in, I think somewhere around about 1860, something like that. So the book's very, very old, and he wrote it about his childhood because his motivator for it was when he was young, his family, his parents, who were British, they sent him back to England to have an education, and he lived with foster parents. And when he wrote the book, his motivation to write it was because of when you're separated from your family, how you survive. And that was the story of Jungle Book, about survival of the fittest in the jungle.
So he's a bit like you because you had to stay away from your family a bit.
That's exactly right. And, you know, ironically, that's true. But when I read Jungle Book, I was about your age, and it just stuck with me, and I still like it to this day.
Okay. Thank you for your time, and thank you for letting me interview you.
You're welcome. I think your questions have been absolutely fabulous. And you know, the secret to those good questions is they make you think about your life and what you're doing, because they're very clever questions. So well done to you for asking them.
Thank you.